Hello everyone! In this lesson, we will be talking about modifying and intensifying comparative and superlative adjectives. By now, you have learned how to make comparative and superlative adjectives. Let's look at these examples. Mangoes are heavier than apricots. Watermelons are the heaviest fruit in the market. So for the short adjectives, we added er to the adjective and then for the comparative form. And for the superlative form, we used the and added est to the adjective. For longer adjectives, we use more before the adjective and then after it for the comparative form. And for the superlative form, we use the most before the adjective, like in these examples. Oranges are more delicious than apples. And bananas are the most delicious fruit. But we can also make comparative and superlative forms stronger. Look at these examples. Mangoes are much heavier than apricots. A mango usually weighs 200 grams. An apricot usually weighs 35 grams. We use much here to indicate the difference is a big one. We can also use the following words to show a big difference. Mangoes are much heavier than apricots. Mangoes are a lot heavier than apricots. Mangoes are far heavier than apricots. For comparative forms with more, we can use the same modifiers. So, we use the same modifiers to intensify both comparative adjective forms. For example, in my opinion, oranges are much more delicious than apples. Oranges are a lot more delicious than apples. Oranges are far more delicious than apples. We can also modify comparative adjectives to show that the difference between the things is not that big. For example, a kilogram is slightly heavier than 950 grams. A kilogram is a little heavier than 950 grams. A kilogram is not much heavier than 950 grams. The same is true for comparative adjectives with more. For example, in my opinion, fruits are slightly more colorful than vegetables. Fruits are a little more colorful than vegetables. Fruits are not much more colorful than vegetables. Superlative adjectives are modified in a similar way. We can show the extent to which something is beyond the other in the group. Let's look at some examples with the superlative form that uses est. Watermelons are easily the heaviest fruit in the market. Watermelons are by far the heaviest fruit in the market. They are heavier by a lot. Similarly, with superlative adjectives that use most, we can use the same modifiers to show the extent. Again, let's talk about my favorite fruit, watermelons. Watermelons are easily the most delicious fruit. Watermelons are by far the most delicious fruit. But we can also say, watermelons are the most delicious fruit by far. Notice that with by far, we can modify the superlative at the end of the sentence. It's like a final emphasis of the great extent. There is one more important way to modify a superlative, and this is with almost. The use of almost in the sentence changes the meaning of the superlative form. Imagine you have three fruits: a banana, an orange, and an apple. The banana weighs 120 grams. The orange weighs 130 grams. and the apple weighs 132 grams. Now, look at these examples. The apple is the heaviest fruit. The orange is almost the heaviest fruit. In the examples, we can use the superlative form to talk about the orange, but we modify it with almost to show that, according to its weight of 130 grams, it just didn't quite make it to the top of the group. The difference in weight, orange 130 grams and apple 132 grams, is not very big between the top members of the group. Let's see if you understood this correctly. Can you complete the exercise?